Let's get some reaction to that from South African Water Chamber CEO Benoit Leroy. Good afternoon, Mr. Leroy. Thank you very much for your time. Well, Rand Water is saying they have a network that requires constant maintenance. Is this a case of the fix now before the issue becomes any bigger?
Thanks, Dan, with you and your viewers. You know, the definition of a crisis is when you cannot supply demand. I beg to differ with the minister. We do have a crisis. And just to reinforce that, there's two other things. One is we have a R1 trillion backlog in water and wastewater infrastructure in South Africa. That's due to underspend, to put it into context. The third part is that water networks are designed, bulk and distribution in the cities, bulk from Rand Water, are designed to have a minimum of 48 hours storage time in them. If we had the 48 hours, we might get a 6-hour lapse. So if you look at that, it's a crisis. And the reason why it's a crisis is that we have waited 20 years before doing augmentation. The other thing is, if you look at the supply line, it's like a conveyor in the Eskom power station. You normally have two conveyors, one duty, one standby. And if you add another unit to the power station, you will add capacity to that before you add the unit. We're adding capacity afterwards, but where's the redundancy? So we're supposed to have two lines supplying the capacity, and each line is supposed to take full load. This is how electrical reticulation works, water works, so it's nothing new. So I beg to differ. I think we do have a crisis. What we're seeing now are the symptoms. It's the same in eThekwini, same in Gqeberha. We had it in Cape Town. So we shouldn't panic. I agree with the minister 100% there. We do have a crisis, and we need to resolve the crisis, and that's part of what we're about at the South African Water Chamber.
So what they are doing today, is it part of trying to resolve a crisis, or for you, this is just maintenance that should have happened long ago?
It should have happened long ago, and I think what they're doing is doing catch-up. They do it very well, but it's just very late in the day.
When you say,
should never be cutting off.
When you say they're trying to catch up, Mr. Leroy, I'm beginning to wonder if there's more that should have been done. Are there more pipes that need to be fixed, the size of the one that's now being done, linking it to the Vereeniging plant?
I think it's more than just pipes. It's reservoirs. We have inadequate storage capacity in our reservoirs. Our treatment works, we possibly have inadequate treatment capacity. And we know that our water reserve, we have inadequate water. This is why Lesotho Highlands is being built to import water, the next phase from Lesotho. And that is now going to be over a decade late. It's supposed to be online in 2018. So since 2018, Rand Water is producing maximum what we call system yield. It can't provide more water sustainably from the Vaal River, integrated Vaal River system. So next year will be the fourth year or so that we are behind. 4 times 4, because it's 4% growth, is 16. So we're close to 20% short per capita. And that is another symptom. So if we had enough reserve margin in the system, both from a water and from an infrastructure perspective, we would not be seeing these symptoms. And I believe these are the tip of the iceberg.
Now, the minister maybe is saying we don't have, I'm just trying to give him a little bit of slack. He's saying that it's not a crisis now because of what's happening currently with this job. But you are saying overall we do have a water crisis in the country. Now, back to this project that's underway now. I mean, it's a huge project. How likely do you think is it to be completed in the allocated 54 hours? I'm asking this against the background of what you've said, that ordinarily you're looking at a 48-hour kind of available supply, depending on the demand, before it peters out.
Yeah, I like to be positive, and I like to think that we do have the capacity in Rand Water and the big water boards to be able to meet their timescales. So I don't have insight into the details, but it is a big line, and it's a big gate valve that they are putting into there. It is difficult work. I'm sure they're well prepared. So from that perspective, I think there's a good chance the 54 hours will be met, but we shouldn't be short of water in those 54 hours at all. If the system had been kept up to speed and augmentation had been done proactively and not retroactively. So we're really chasing, as we're doing in energy. And, it's a policy failure that the minister is trying to right. And the minister has made it very clear, we do not have adequate water. And I differ with that. We don't have adequate traditional resources. We've got plenty of water to reuse, and we've got plenty of water in the sea. So we have to resort to alternative water resources and our alternative engineering and the likes. And we know that we are not very good at mega projects. So we need to up our game. And I think Rand Water can do that.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Mr. Benoit Leroy, CEO of the South African Water Chamber, looking at this project that's underway now, that's depriving parts of Johannesburg in Gauteng of normal water flows for today until Wednesday. At least by Thursday should be done, but we'll have to wait and see. But the main point that he's making is that South Africa is a dry country. We do have a water crisis in terms of many things, including infrastructure and lack of maintenance. So something has to be done all the time going forward, and look for alternative sources